Welcome to Joe Stunner Boxing. So, NAOYA INOUE defeats Ramon Cardenas with an 8th round TKO, but has to come off the floor to do it. And yeah, it was a good fight. It was a really good fight, actually. Another good fight. We've had 2 in a row now, considering that the chief support for this was Espinosa versus Vasquez, which was a WBO featherweight defense for Espinosa. It was a one-sided beatdown, but at least there were lots of punches thrown. And after this weekend, with that terrible card from Times Square and then the awful one from Riyadh, we needed some good performances, some positive styles, some good matchups, some guts, some even the guys that lost, in this case Cardenas, and in the case of Vasquez, they at least showed guts by the bucket. They showed a lot of courage. And certainly in the case of Cardenas, he had more than a little bit of success early on because he did floor NAOYA INOUE. INOUE was coming in towards the end of the second round, moving forward. Cardenas was pushed back to the ropes. INOUE very, very front-footed, as we've come to expect, letting punches go. And the one thing that for the first 3 rounds Cardenas did that was very impressive was he punched between Anuas' offense. So he punched between the punches. And Cardenas moved to the side, slipped to the side, left hook, slap on the jaw. INOUE suddenly sat down, and the momentum of the punch, he sort of rolled over. It was more than a flash knockdown. He was a little bit hurt. But he got up. Fortunately for him, it was the end of the round. And then Cardenas, and I gave him the 3rd round as well. So I gave him the second a 10-8 and the third a 10-9. But then in the 4th, INOUE, who had started quite slowly, I gave him the 1st round. I thought he won the 1st round. Cardenas looked a little bit tight, just a little bit tight. But by the 4th round, INOUE started to go through the gears. And his body punching was exemplary, as we've come to expect. Very, very good. Body puncher. INOUE showed it in this. Punches to the head, Cardenas was soaking them up well. And gradually went through the gears like all the greats do, but had to come through that little crisis. Mini crisis, would you call it? I don't know. And gradually, the writing was on the wall by about the 6th round. But it was the body punching that definitely unhinged INOUE. Unhinged Cardenas. INOUE is a fantastic body puncher. He looks so solid, doesn't he? INOUE, when he starts to flow, he's extremely aggressive. But he kind of, the way he moves forward, the way he everything's controlled, everything's sort of brutally smooth with INOUE. And like I say, by the 6th round, it was, the referee said I think he spoke to Cardenas, and also was it Joel Diaz, I think, was in Cardenas' corner, said to him at the end of the 7th, I'll give you one more round, because otherwise, and Cardenas was like, why? Well, you're getting leathered in there, mate, or words to that effect. And then in the 8th round, INOUE moved Cardenas pushed him back onto the ropes with I think it was another body punch, and then just let his hands go. Cardenas slid across the ropes into the corner, but INOUE, there was nowhere for him to run. And INOUE was all over him, and the referee jumped in and stopped it, and understandably so. I think it was good. Overall, it was a good performance by INOUE, but he did show that usual vulnerability that a lot of front-footed, aggressive fighters show, which is that you're going to leave a few gaps in your defense. And if the guy is very adept at punching between your punches, finding some sort of rhythm, he'll get through. And if he hits hard enough, he'll get you. It was the same thing with the Lewis Neary fight. And in fact, it was the knockdown that INOUE suffered. The 2 knockdowns against Cardenas and Neary were very, very similar. The right hand was too low, the left hook came over, and bang. So you have to give Cardenas, considering he was such a rank underdog, you have to give him some credit. I mean, he came in with 26 wins and 14 KOs and one defeat on a majority decision against a journeyman years ago, I think about 7 or 8 years ago, which was probably just a bad day at the office. And he has beaten some half half decent fighters, Cardenas. You know, his last fight was he beat Brian Acosta, who was undefeated in 20. And he beat Rafael Pedrosa a couple of years ago, who was undefeated in 15. So he's got some decent names on his record. And when you've got a guy who's a legitimate contender in front of you, you've got to be really on your A game. And Inoue, I got the feeling this is one of the reasons I think Inoue is a truly great fighter, is that if he starts a fight seemingly, you know, not disinterested, but not really as motivated as you would think, he has that extremely rare quality where he can adjust and adapt in the ring. Because the left hook, even though having been floored by the left in the second round, and also Cardenas was trying in the third round, Inoue was able to shore up that little gap, adjust his footing, heighten his guard a little bit, raise his guard a bit. And yes, he did take a few right-handers as well. There were a few right-handers coming over as well, but he didn't. He sort of regrouped, and he was able to suddenly say, "Okay, I'm in a fight now." And whereas a lot of fighters find it difficult to suddenly flick that switch and move up and go through the gears, Inoue doesn't. And in the fifth round, he was having real success at the end of the round. Sixth round was a beat-in. Seventh round, and he stopped him in the eighth. I mean, he grinds fighters down with that controlled thudding pressure. You know, you can almost see the headache growing in the opponent as Inoue comes forward. It's like, oh my God, what's he going to do next? You know, now don't get me wrong, Ramon Cardenas showed a lot of guts, and there's nothing to be ashamed of with his defeat. You know, he just got beaten by a better guy. But Inoue is, you know, he's now 30 wins with 27 KOs, and there's a reason for that. It isn't just raw power, it's technique, it's self-belief, it's ability to adjust, it's ring IQ. You know, at 32 years of age, is he slipping slightly? I mean, you see, the two knockdowns that he suffered against Nery and Cardenas have come at super-bantamweight. And Inoue began life as a light flyweight. So, okay, you know, as you get older, you put on weight naturally, but you've got to accept that the bigger you get, the bigger the opponents are, the more chance there is of being clipped. And when Inoue was interviewed before this fight by, I think it was Joe Tessitore interviewed him, Tessitore said, "What's your ceiling, the highest weight you can go?" And he said featherweight. And you do wonder, by the time Inoue has fought Akmadalv next, I think in September, Murodjon Akmadalv, if he gets through that and he does move to featherweight, whoever's at featherweight, whether it's Nick Ball or Rafael Espinosa, they might be in the right place at the right time. I mean, Espinosa with that 6'1" frame is going to be 8 inches taller than Inoue if they were to fight. Ball is 5'2" and will be, you know, 3 inches shorter than Inoue. So I mean, you can't get two more contrasting potential opponents than that in terms of style and dimensions. But maybe they'll be in the right place at the right time. You know, Inoue is a great fighter. I very rarely say that about fighters whose careers are still going. And at 32, he might have another 2-3 years left at the top. You just don't know, even though he's a smaller guy. But there is such a thing as sticking around too long. You know, your legacy gets damaged if you stick around too long, like Roy Jones Jr., who was so untouchable in the 1990s and ended up with 10 defeats on his record to people he would have slapped around in 1 or 2 rounds, a lot of them. So Inoue, how far can he go? Featherweight's probably his limit. Will that be too much? I don't know. We'll see. But Murodjon Akmadalv is next. It's in September. Very good fighter. I still make Inoue the favourite, although Akmadalv, like a lot of others, will take a little bit of positivity from the fact that Inoue was again floored by a left hook. Inoue needs to watch those left hooks. He needs to get into a habit. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yeah, you can. Get that hand up a little bit. Yeah. Says the guy who sits on the sofa making boxing videos all day. I think he knows what he's doing anyway, him and his team. But this was a good fight, even though it was a very good fight. Very, very good fight. Thankfully, after the absolutely terrible weekend of boxing we've had so far, which is that dreadful card from Times Square and the awful one from Riyadh, we finally get two very good fights. Rafael Espinosa defending his belt against Edward Vasquez. One-sided beatdown, to put it mildly, but Vasquez made it interesting just through sheer guts. I mean, that guy's got nothing to be ashamed of. And then we get Inoue and Cardenas exchanging knockdowns. Inoue actually scored a knockdown in the 7th round, the round before he stopped Cardenas on his feet. So it was one each in knockdowns. And yeah, thank you very much, Inoue and Espinosa and your dance partners, for saving this weekend for boxing. This bank holiday weekend we got in Britain anyway. Anyway, what did you think of this? What do you think of Inoue? Is he slipping? What do you think of him against Akmadalv? Let me know. Has he got Nakatani? Is it Akmadalv he's got next, or is it Nakatani next year? Is it? I don't even know. I'm losing track. He's got so many opponents lined up. But let me know what you think. Let me know who you'd like to see him in against next. And yeah, I'll answer your questions, obviously. Or not your questions, I'll answer your comments. But if you like this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel, because you're helping us out and we're building up the channel. Thank you, as always, for your time, and I'll catch you later. Bye for now.